Alright everyone, this is a pre-recorded video, of course. I'm not capable of recording at the moment. Well, I am, but not in the moment where this will be uploaded, so you're actually seeing something from the past. I have arcane knowledge, specifically on electric cars. This is something that's being talked about more because Biden is saying, well, I'm going to spend billions of dollars making more charging stations. Bring down the cost of electric automobiles. It'll be so great. But it's NIMBYism. It's really horseshit. Now, the problem is that electric cars are fundamentally partially fossil fuel cars. You've certainly seen efficiency increases over the last decade. Batteries last longer. They're quicker to charge. The car will go faster. I mean, they're more well-built than they were in the past. The problem is that in the United States especially, if you're driving an electric car, that power came, in many cases, from natural gas, which is a fossil fuel. It's more efficient than gasoline, but it's still, at the point of delivery, you're not making emissions, but, there is still fossil fuel involved. A part of it comes from coal. This is also the case with Europe. They want to think that their energy grid is so wonderful. It's all solar panels and windmills. Well, no, a lot of it's nuclear. Some of it is still coal, and a lot of it now is, again, natural gas, liquefied and imported through a pipeline from Russia. How wonderful. So Russian fossil fuel. I'm sure that the safety standards in the average Russian mining system is so much better than what you'd find in Bavaria, by the way. China, a lot of electric cars there. Again, they're building coal power plants like there's no tomorrow, and that's really the NIMBYism thing. The problem is that your electric car at the point of delivery, the car itself, isn't putting out the emissions. But the construction of every aspect of the car was partially fossil fueled. The electricity to run it is partially fossil fueled. The whole grid is in large part fossil fueled. This is even the case with nuclear. And here, let me address this separately, because there are a lot of people out there like, well, nuclear is the only green energy that works. You are correct, sir. It is much more efficient than the use of gasoline, etc. The problem is fossil fuel is still involved. Here's the process for nuclear power. Beyond the construction of the plant, the machines and maintenance is all fossil fueled there too. The backup generators there are not nuclear powered, just to be clear. It's largely natural gas. Again, natural gas is a big advent. We should be using more of it, not less. Used to be they would set the natural gas on fire to extract the oil more efficiently. Oh boy, what a waste of money that was. Anyway, first you have to mine the uranium ore. Well, that uses bulldozers and trucks and blasting material and stuff, again, related to fossil fuel. So now you've got chunks of rock. Now you have to bring them to the crusher. What do you think the crusher runs on? A nuclear reactor? No, it runs on fossil fuel. Then you crush the ore up. You then put it through an extensive chemical process several times in order to refine it. Where do you think the chemicals come from? Then the plants that produce the chemicals. Or the shipping of the chemicals. Well, part of it's nuclear powered, but the trucks and trains are fossil fueled, by and large. You then have to ship the refined components elsewhere, and they're fully refined, and then they're finally shipped to the nuclear plant. You've created an enormous swath of strip mining, especially in Australia, certain parts of Russia, parts of the western United States. Huge strip mine to get the uranium, put it through a bunch of fossil fuel powered, at least in part, processes, and now it's clean energy. It's more efficient. The energy extracted from that refined nuclear product still far outweighs the use of the fossil fuel, but you do need the fossil fuel to obtain it. So you're going to have fossil fuel required for every part of electrical cars, even if you're using nuclear energy, from day one. Now, of course, in the future, we could have advancements in technology that allow semi-autonomous dump trucks and shit that are electric powered using solar power, using wind or something, to harvest material. They could then create a self-replicating process that would be fully green. You'd still have the strip mining. You would still have the production of pollution. You'd still have a slurry of chemicals and toxic waste and radioactive byproducts to deal with. You wouldn't have the front-end fossil fuel usage. I've proposed, for example, a system, a semi-closed system, a self-maintaining solar power plant where you just ship the material in. Again, preferably not using fossil fuel, but that's in the future. in which an autonomous system that's solar powered is creating more solar panels than are used in the process of the creation. That is, the efficiency is above the necessity to actually create more and more energy. This is possible even with today's technology to obtain, but it's not what's done because it's very expensive. The efficiency of those panels is still low, although it is rising over time. And the electric cars, all of the components, the aluminum, the plastics that go into them, the rare earth minerals in their fucking diodes and shit, is all the result of fossil fuel. Electric cars are NIMBYism. The truly environmental movement would be, instead of paying someone to plant trees, plant them yourself. Instead of using the car if not necessary, get a goddamn bicycle. Use your own power. Grow your own food. Self-sufficiency. Small-time solar generation for homes or for neighborhoods is better than having a massive-ass solar field where you could have a bunch of trees growing. But this uncentralized manner of energy production and the reduction of the amount of energy needed in systems is not profitable. People would be, it's harder to tax people. They're not traveling as much. They're not consuming as much. They're consuming stuff they themselves are self-maintaining. You can't tax all of those things. You can't regulate it as much. The land usage on someone's own homestead is not going to be as regulated as all the processes to bring the food to the grocery store. Then you have certain states, certain parts of the world, where you have politicians that take money from the energy lobby. Well, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to lift a finger to try to subsidize home solar. Great example, state of Vermont. My home state of Vermont had a burgeoning home solar situation. More and more people are putting it up. And this is a fairly dark, cold state, and it's still efficient enough to work. Germany manages to make it work. Trust me, most parts of the U.S. would be fine, and most parts of the world in general. You're living in Nunavut. Maybe you get a windmill instead. Home solar subsidies were a big thing. They canceled the home solar subsidies. Right around the time that the Shumlin administration let those lapse and stopped offsetting part of the cost of home solar systems, what happens? A bunch of solar fields start getting developed. It was magical. Almost overnight, when you went up to Burlington from Rutland, my hometown, before you'd see some solar panels on people's homes. There were no solar fields. Now there's one in Rutland, actually two of them. There are several up in the Middlebury area. They're all around Burlington. There's like a fucking dozens of solar fields in the state of Vermont taking up land that could be used for farming. It could be used for wood cutting. You could have a rotary wood lot. You could let it go fallow, have it be a wildlife refuge. Well, you don't need that land for solar production. You can put it on an existing structure. Electric cars are the same kind of bunkum technology. The problem is it's hokum. It's selling people a cure for, in my opinion, a non-existent malady, which is that we'll be Tatooine in 10 years if we don't change the way that we do things. You better eat the bugs and get used to less. Live in the pod. People could already reduce, though, their consumption and decentralize the grid, and it would be much more efficient. They're not being encouraged to do that. Instead, they're being encouraged to maintain inefficient centralized systems. Just switch the kind of energy production, and by the way, you'll have to pay us more money. Electric cars are goddamn stupid. Electric power derived from solar and wind, good thing, wonderful. The manner in which it's being designed is not good. It is not a good thing. It's just not in my backyard horseshit. Basically, people in the suburbs don't want a bunch of car exhaust fumes in their neighborhood. They don't care if a bunch of Australians have to inhale those fumes mining uranium. They don't care about 12-year-old Chinese sweatshop laborers creating the components for their electric car. They only care about themselves. It's corporate greed plus personal greed. It's egotism all the way down. That's about all. Peace out.